Many years ago, I learned to make orecchiette with broccoli and cauliflower from the Zuni cafe cookbook by the great chef that I think of as my culinary soulmate, Judy Rodgers. This dish is a great example of layering flavors and textures. Great chefs do it subconsciously, but they often have a hard time communicating that. And Judy could communicate that in a way that helps you get that spark in your cooking. I haven't looked at her original recipe in years. It's likely that at this point my dish is a little different, but the basic concept is the same. It all starts with how you cut the veggies. This dish can be made with either broccoli or cauliflower or both. Today I'll use both. Great flavor comes from browning, and great browning comes from the ingredient making good contact with the pan. That's why we're slicing our veggies. These flat surfaces will make good contact with the pan and will brown way better than if we break them up into florets. Stems are delicious too. For cauliflower, I just cut them into little cubes. For broccoli, I peel them a little to reduce fibrousness and then cut them up. What you see on my cutting board is a tad too much for the 4 servings that I'm making, so I'll save some veggies for some future use. The measurements don't really matter here, but in case you're wondering, I'm using roughly 600 grams of vegetables here. If you want to eyeball, it's this much broccoli plus this much cauliflower. We'll also need a garlic clove thinly sliced, and a couple of teaspoons of drained and rinsed capers. I'll chop them up a little. You can also use olives in addition to capers or instead of them. Please don't leave me comments that say, what if I don't like capers? If you don't like something, you don't use it. No need to ask me for permission. Now let's make the breadcrumbs. Serving pasta with breadcrumbs is not silly, it's brilliant. Everything in this dish is soft, and the toasted breadcrumbs will give us some crunch, making this dish much more complex. Make sure you're using good bread. Remove the crust from 1 or 2 slices of bread and slice it extremely thinly. Don't use a serrated knife here. It works a lot better with a chef's knife. It's a bit easier to cut if the bread is stale, but if you only have fresh bread, that's fine. Then cut in the other direction. And finally, mince. Please don't use store-bought breadcrumbs. They work great in some applications, but not in this one. We don't want to turn our bread into a powder here, so I don't recommend putting this bread into a food processor. Set a medium skillet over medium-low heat. Add about 1.5 tablespoons of butter and wait for it to melt. Add the breadcrumbs. Stir them with the butter and cook, stirring occasionally, regulating the heat very carefully so that they brown but don't burn. While the breadcrumbs are cooking, set the biggest skillet you have in your kitchen over high heat and add 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Mine is 12 inches with straight sides, which gives me lots of room for browning. If your skillet is smaller, you either have to cook the vegetables in batches or in 2 skillets. When the oil is hot, lay out the biggest and flattest veggie pieces on the bottom, then fill in the holes with smaller pieces, and finally pile the remaining vegetables on top. Give it another drizzle of oil, but don't stir. We're trying to keep maximum contact between the veggies and the pan. Cover the pan and cook until the bottom veggies brown. Check frequently, but be patient. Absolutely no stirring until you get color, which will take between 2 and 5 minutes. My breadcrumbs need a stir. They're making good progress. The further along they get, the lower your heat should get. Let's check up on the veggies. This is a very happy sight. We have color and it's time to stir. Try to pull up the brown pieces to the top and shove the pale pieces on the bottom. By the way, this is a good time to salt the veggies. I forgot until later, which was fine, but not intentional. Keep cooking your veggies like this until a lot of them are brown. The reason we're covering the pan is so that the top veggies steam and get tender, while the bottom ones are browning. Let's check up on our breadcrumbs again. They're getting very close. I'm judging how done they are not only by color, but by texture. I want them to get crunchy. Back to the veggies. We've got color again and can give them another stir. By the way, keep adding oil as necessary. The bottom of the pan should always be well lubricated. Here, I finally remembered to salt things. Don't get carried away with salt yet, because we're adding capers, which are quite salty. Once the veggies are brown, move them to the side. Add a drizzle of oil, a pinch of red chili flakes, as big or as little as you want, and garlic and capers that we chopped up earlier. Cook until aromatic, about a minute, and then mix it with the veggies. Now we need a very generous squirt of lemon. All the flavors so far are very hearty and they need something refreshing to balance them. Stir well and taste for salt and acidity. I needed more salt. When people see me cook, they often laugh at me that I always need more salt. That's intentional. If I don't need to correct the salt in the end, it means that I was too aggressive in the beginning, which is dangerous. It can easily result in oversalting. I always salt at 80% of what my intuition tells me I actually need until the very end when I go for 100%. Okay, our veggies are done, our breadcrumbs are done, and it's showtime. Cook your orecchiette. We made fresh orecchiette last week. The video for them is linked below, but this works great with store-bought pasta as well. The broccoli cauliflower mix is great on toast, on pizza, on anything you want. I moved it to the side to give myself a chance to first toss my pasta with a couple tablespoons of butter. That tastes better to me than dumping wet pasta directly onto the vegetables. Sprinkle it with breadcrumbs. I usually reserve a little bit for garnish, and freshly grated parmesan. Give it all a good mix and then taste for salt, acidity, and butter. I needed some butter. See, sometimes it's not the salt. Okay, so let's talk about those layered flavors and textures. Smell-wise, you've got caramel notes from the browned veggies, sharpness from garlic and chili, a bit of funk from the capers and parmesan, and of course, the wheat and butter from pasta and breadcrumbs. Taste-wise, you've got sweetness from browning, acidity from lemon, saltiness from capers and, well, salt. And texture-wise, you've got the creamy veggies, chewy pasta, and crispy breadcrumbs. This dish is a mouthful. I know my descriptions of food are more clinical than poetic. I'm bad at poetry, so I have a challenge for you. Make this dish and write me something beautiful. By the way, if you want to get the Zuni Cafe cookbook or the pan that I use to cook broccoli and cauliflower, Amazon links for them are below. It's a great way to support my channel. Thank you. Here are more very detailed culinary tutorials for you to check out. And if you are ever in the Boston area, maybe I'll see you in one of my classes.